Hello, welcome to the Ultimate Florida Sports Show. I'm Chris Porter, alongside my main man, Dr. Evan Closky, who I assure you does not have an injury report this week. Evan, it feels G-O-O-D good to have the NFL back in our lives.
Hey, Tristan Wirfs and Chris Godwin were practicing this week. We got a little bit of it. Okay, look, you ain't kidding though, Chris. It's so nice to have the NFL back in our lives. We have a great show lined up for you. We have a pair of head coaches in the state already on the hot seat. An AP voter thought Florida, not USF, won last week. Plus, we give you our best bets in the Ultimate Stakes segment for this weekend slate of games. But let's start with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And after the first day of the draft, Bucs fans were besides themselves that they took a wide receiver in the first round. How could you not go defense, they said. Well, you learned why after Emeka Egbuka's debut. Led the team in receiving yards, caught 2 tutties, 1 was in the final minute, and here's the cool thing. Egbuka called his shot on the game winner. He told Baker to go back to that post route at the end of the game. Boom, touchdown. He was right. We hyped up Egbuka all throughout the preseason, and it seems like it was warranted.
He's the real deal. True professional, doesn't play like a rookie, doesn't act like a rookie. His head's never spinning, so he made some unbelievable catches and plays today for us, and obviously going to continue to lean on him.
Yeah, it's amazing. I think the only way that he's able to trust me is just doing it every single day in practice. So building that chemistry, building that trust, and when it comes to Sundays, we just let it rip.
And, Chris, I just think about this team once Tristan Wirfs and Chris Godwin and Jalen McMillan are back in the fold. There are a lot of weapons to work with.
Certainly there are a lot of weapons to work with, and I'm so glad that you're saying people are coming back, not going on the list. Certainly seems that way as for the matchup with Houston.
It's about time.
Yes, Dr. Closky on Monday Night Football. What's the key for the Bucs to get the win?
The Houston Texans are obliterated on the offensive line. Their tight end, Cade Stover, just went down, so there you go. If the Bucs are going to win this game, they need to generate more than the 1 sack they had in Atlanta. They also need to produce their first turnover of the season. Even though the team only had 1 sack, the one was from Hassan Reddick, who looked like more of the guy from the Eagles days versus his time with the Jets last year. We'll have our eyes on him in prime time, but in general, you have to get the QB on the ground more.
I thought we missed quite a few of them. I thought we rushed well. We didn't finish the play, but we rushed well. Got to work on closing the middle out toward the end of the ball game with those guys, not letting the quarterback run up the middle.
It's the first game. Of course, we got things to work on. The way the flow of the game definitely showed that. But most important thing is that we were able to come out with the win. So let's win. Let's go, baby.
Yeah, look, Reddick, Kalijah Kancey, Vita Vea, and Yaya Diaby should maul this Texans offensive line. So I think the game will be determined by that foursome right there, Chris.
All right, so the Bucs aren't the only Sunshine State team with a victory during one. Former Tampa Bay offensive coordinator, the new head man of your Jacksonville Jaguars, picked up his first win as a head coach. Yes, Coach Cohen has us drinking the Kool-Aid and chill. I know it's just one game. Travis Etienne did his thing week 1, rushing for 143 yards. In fact, the Big Cats' rushing attack racked up more than 200 yards on the ground. And no, I did not stutter. Etienne's offensive line put in that work, opening big holes for him and keeping his quarterback, Trevor Lawrence, upright. Trevor was not touched. No sacks. The front office made a lot of moves this offseason to improve that unit. Robert Hainsey, one of the free agent pickups, talked about how good it was to see a unit with so many new faces come together on Sunday. Trevor Lawrence says they still got some things they've got to clean up, but the O-line's performance in the win over the Carolina Panthers was a collective effort and will only build that unit's confidence.
Guys up front and the wideouts, too, in the run game have really bought into blocking downfield. You see Diami on Travis's long run, covering up the guy 50 yards down the field, got Travis an extra, 30 yards. I mean, that stuff matters, and I think just for those guys to buy in and do that on the perimeter and then to see it pay off in a game where it's like, hey, you got 30 more yards because you ran down the field and covered up your guy. It's cool to see the buy-in from the whole team.
Back to Travis Etienne. Big ups to him. This is a guy who was not at 100% most of last year. He did not rush for at least 1,000 yards in 2024 for the first time since he put on the teal and black. Also, this dude is going to be motivated because it's a contract year. And Evan, we know how these guys usually ball when they've got an opportunity to make more money.
And I want to give you your props, too, because if you listen to last week's Ultimate Stakes segment, you said Travis Etienne was going to have a big game.
Testify.
He had a big game.
Come on.
Yeah, and now a big game is coming up this weekend, Chris, taking on Joe Cool. Joe Burrow Sunday. They're going to have their hands full, that defense of the Jags.
Absolutely, my friend. Joe Burrow, one of the elite quarterbacks in the NFL, who happens to have two of the best receivers in the NFL. This ain't fair, Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. Listen, I thought Joe Burrow should have won the MVP last season, and he really been that dude since he led LSU to the national championship back in 2020. Let me keep it 100. Even with their win over Cleveland last week, I'm still hoping the Bengals are the Bengals of old, that team that usually gets off to slow starts. And I know that might be wishful thinking. Okay, back to reality. The Jaguars defense forced 3 turnovers against the Panthers, and to give you some perspective, the Jags D only forced 9 all of last year. But Bryce Young ain't no Joe Burrow, and the guys talked about what makes defending him so difficult.
Joe Burrow, he's a smart quarterback. He's athletic, and he's been playing with the guys around him for a while. Like receivers, they have a great connection. A lot of players underestimate like his athletic ability, being able to scramble when he has to, even though that's maybe not what he want to do. He's just a smart guy all around.
He's a true NFL quarterback who he's going to know all your pressure looks. He's going to know all his hot throws. He's just going to do things right. When things aren't there, he's going to check it down and get leaky yardage that helps you get first down. So that's his best thing. And then he's just got, great chemistry with T and Jamar.
And now hopefully Jaguars linebacker Foye Oluokun can be as effective as he was in the defense success like Week 1. He had 10 tackles, an interception, and forced a fumble. Foye was named the AFC Defensive Player of the Week. Foye has led the team in tackles for the last 2 seasons and has topped 100 tackles in 5 straight seasons. Oluokun says, "This award is special because it ain't all about me. It's a total team effort. Good work from both sides of the ball for the Jags. We'll see if that carries over this Sunday."
Yeah, I'm really excited to see that game. All right. The good vibes end with Miami, Chris, who looked awful in the season opener against Indianapolis, made Daniel Jones look like Dan Marino. Meanwhile, Tua threw for less than 115 yards with 2 interceptions. 33 points allowed, was the 3rd most given up during Week 1 slate of games. The Jaguars had the 2nd largest margin of defeat against the Panthers, winning by 16. The Colts ranked 1st, beating the Finns by 25. Vibes were awful last year. We were concerned about the talent this year. Tyreek Hill is already involved in potential off-the-field issues. Chris, the good news, according to Mike McDaniel, is he doesn't see how it could be worse than what we saw last Sunday. But I would argue it could get much worse for him because he is on the hottest of hot seats, right?
The seat is smoking hot, my friend. I don't remember the last time I watched an NFL team be killed by injuries, basically having nobody healthy in the secondary after trading the likes of Jalen Ramsey away. Then you're dealing with a talented wide receiver in Tyreek Hill, a.k.a. the Cheetah, a.k.a. the Drama King now, who's dealing with issues inside the locker room and off the field. Now, in my humble opinion, I don't like saying that anybody's going to get fired, but it's just a matter of time before McDaniel is shown the door. This team, Evan, is a mess.
Yeah, we've been saying it all offseason, and Week 1 gave us no inclination that it's going to change. As for life at the collegiate level, how about them USF Bulls? This was a line for tickets on campus earlier this week for the game in Miami. They've clearly put themselves in the driver's seat for the college football playoffs as the Group of 5 representative. And this isn't some fluke. The university has invested in a new practice facility, a new on-campus stadium, NIL collectives. They are one of the biggest spenders in the Group of 5, and now they're getting the payoff. Alex Golish and his team accepts the attention humbly.
Put your phones down, put your social media down, and let these people tell your story, because your identity is out on display. And right now you have a platform and a stage to do it. So let your identity tell the story. Cliche, maybe, but it's true. There's a lot more people in here today.
Fun fact, Deion Sanders had the opportunity to coach at USF during the last hiring cycle. He chose Colorado, obviously. Because of that, the program landed Alex Golish, who has now become one of the biggest up-and-coming names in the sport. Buy stock in the Bulls, especially their new CEO of athletics, Rob Higgins. Believe that was a great hire.
Looking good. The landscape in college sports is changing, and certainly the Bulls, they're on the offensive. What about here in the 904? The Bulls aren't the only program here in the Sunshine State off to a fantastic start. Don't look now, but the Waters Tigers are 2-0, and they're on the prowl for the first time in more than 2 decades. First, a quick history lesson. EWU is the oldest HBCU here in the Sunshine State. Now, let me refresh your memory. These are the same Tigers who head coach Toriano Morgan caught everyone off guard a week before fall practice started, saying, you know what, I'm taking my talents to my alma mater, Tennessee State, to be their offensive coordinator. No problem. Interim head coach Brian Jenkins has stepped in and has the Tigers firing on all cylinders in all 3 phases of the game: offense, defense, and special teams. You should not be surprised by the Tigers' success under Jenkins, because when he was the head man at Bethune-Cookman, another HBCU, he had an overall record of 46-14. It's early. We know the season is still young, but even when you have success early, I know you guys have to manage the success. How are you managing the success?
Well, we teach our guys about staying in the moment. You know, just stay in the moment you're in, and if you stay in the moment, it'll prepare you for the next moment. And we tell our guys, you know, the main thing is the main thing, and that's what you focus on. And if we can continue to preach that and teach that and they understand it, I think it'll keep us right in this position that we want to be in, and that's position of always preparing for whatever's to come.
The main thing is the main thing, and I want you to remember this name, Noah Botten. Botten is the Tigers quarterback who's played outstanding in EWU's 2 wins. Last week he delivered another stellar performance, throwing for 201 yards, 3 touchdowns, and no INTs. The week before, he won the SIAC Newcomer of the Week award for his performance in the Tigers season opener. Also, you talking about investing in their program. The Tigers have built a new stadium on campus not that long ago, invested a lot of money in totally renovating the football locker room, and their interim head coach, who will soon be the head coach, told me there's more good stuff on the horizon.
Yeah, look, there's no secret here, right? You invest in the players, you invest in the facilities, usually you start seeing some more wins in the win column. That's awesome right there. Look, coming up in the Ultimate Rush, an AP voter thought Florida won last week against USF. Why there is a bigger problem here beyond that mistake.
Plus, firefighter by day, professional bodybuilder by night. We're taking you to the heart of the game as we'll introduce you to the newest classic physique Masters Division champion, Caleb Walker. You're watching the Ultimate Florida Sports Show.
Time now for the Ultimate Rush. This is where we dig into some topics affecting the Sunshine State and beyond.
The only catch is we have 60 seconds to make our point, and let's start with trouble brewing over in Gainesville. Mike McDaniel, you ain't the only head coach feeling the heat here in the Sunshine State. Billy Napier's seat is sizzling hot. This after the shocking upset loss to South Florida in the Swamp. And no disrespect to Bulls fans, they played tough, but it's how the Gators lost that has people talking. Sloppy, undisciplined football, way too many penalties, and dumb ones at that in critical moments. And the play calling, flat out questionable from Napier. Despite it all, Napier insists he's still the right man for the job, even saying he'll continue being the primary call on offense, despite mounting criticism. But the facts are the facts. Through his first 40 games, he's 20-20. The last 4 Gators coaches all had better records at that same point. 3 of the 4 fired. Dan Mullen, 31-9, gone. He coached the Gators to the SEC championship game and should have beat Alabama. Jim McElwain, 22-12, gone. He guided the Gators to the SEC championship game but came up short. Will Muschamp, 24-16, gone. Urban Meyer, 31-9, won 2 national titles, then resigned. And then you look at what's ahead. Number 3 LSU, number 5 Miami, number 7 Texas, on the road at number 16 Texas A&M. Billy, I was with you after that strong finish to last season, but another embarrassing loss. And with all the resources he has, he's got to go.
Yeah, and speaking of the Gators, one Associated Press pollster thought the Gators beat USF this past week, considering this individual moved the Gators up in the rankings and didn't recognize USF at all. And let me say this, it's a terrible mistake, should not happen, there are no excuses for it. But these sort of things do happen on occasion randomly. These AP voters are covering their own games, spending all day at the stadium, logging a story, then they get home, then they got to catch up on everything. Again, it doesn't excuse someone for completely messing up the result, but we can show someone grace on a one-off mistake. However, the real issue came when asked about the ballot, And this individual said, and I'm paraphrasing, well, the aggregate of voters cover up for someone's mistake, and in the end, this all doesn't matter anyway. Apathy is far worse than making a mistake. Just own it and move on. Don't say, well, this is all nonsense. And I get it. This doesn't determine the college football playoffs, but these rankings absolutely do matter. They matter for TV slots. They matter to recruits. They matter to communities. It's a big deal. And if you don't see the value in these polls, then don't accept the responsibility in the first place. You ain't even getting paid for this.
Yeah, it matters because sometimes this could be the difference between a coach losing or keeping his job.
That's true, too. Now to the heart of the game. This is where we go beyond the X's and O's and remind you why we fell in love with sports in the first place.
Thank you, teammate. The newest Classic Physique Masters Division champion resides here in the 904. This past weekend in Sarasota, the IFBB Florida Pros saw some serious muscle on display, especially from the guy you're seeing there on your screen, Caleb Walker. Caleb competed in the Classic Physique Masters Division, and he dominated the field, beating out 11 competitors. With the win, he qualifies for the 2027 Masters Mr. Olympia. That's basically the Super Bowl of bodybuilding for the Masters Division, one of the most prestigious events in the sport, held only once every 2 years. Caleb did not stop there. He also took the stage in the Open Classic Division, placing third out of 15 competitors. When he's not competing, you'll find Caleb serving on Fire Engine 47 with JFRD. That dude looks good. I wish I had. I'm working out, Evan, but you know, I just want a six-pack. That's all I want.
I'm just telling you, look, you put your mind to it, Chris, and anything is possible. I believe in you. I want to see you out there at that competition in 2028 qualifying.
I need to put the fork down.
I think you got it in you.
Put the fork down. That's what I need to do.
Look, coming up in a couple of minutes, it's the ultimate stakes. We have our best bets regarding the NFL games affecting the Sunshine State, so do not go anywhere.
This might sound strange, but I wasn't always a good dad. My kid needed to hear me say, I'm sorry.
See what you got. Oh, you gonna back me down? You gonna pull it?
He knows I'm not perfect, but he knows I'm trying. That's why I choose to be a father first.
Time now for the ultimate stakes. This is where we take a look at the odds via the Hard Rock app and give our thoughts on the teams or games that, just depending on the week that we care about.
Yeah, and just a reminder, this is for entertainment purposes only, so don't come after us if we're wrong. I'll kick things off with the Monday night contest against the Bucs and Texans. At the time of the taping, the Bucs are 2.5-point underdogs. I don't really have a play on the side, but if you want to put the Bucs in a teaser, I think that's a good move to get them north of 7. At last check, the total is 42.5. And I think we're looking at an under. Both offenses looked rusty in the first game. Both teams have question marks on the offensive line. Both teams are playing great defensive fronts. I think points are going to be really hard to come by. As for some props, I'll continue to hammer Baker Mayfield rushing yards. Right now I got it at 16.5. Mayfield almost threw a couple of picks last week, so let's toss one of those to D'Amico Ryan's group. And finally, Mike Evans grew up close to Houston. He has never scored a touchdown in NRG Stadium. This could be his last time in the stadium. Get me Mike to get in the end zone. Chris, what are you liking in the Jaguars game?
All right, this week the Jags and I'm focusing on quarterback Trevor Lawrence. Hard Rock, has him locked in at 240.5 passing yards and 1.5 touchdowns. I'm taking the under on passing yards. I think Trevor will pass for around 230 yards because the Jaguars are placing such great emphasis on the ground game. As for touchdowns, I'm taking the over. Trevor will throw 2 TDs. Now, the Bengals defense had a strong outing against the Cleveland Browns, forcing 2 critical second-half interceptions, including the game-sealing pick by DJ Turner, which led to their 17-16 victory over their conference rival, the Browns. And this was all under their new defensive coordinator, Al Golden. Getting caught up in all these numbers. However, the Jags running game will open the play-action pass and allow receivers Brian Thomas Jr. and De'Ami Brown to get into the end zone. Trevor admitted he missed some easy passes against the Panthers, but I believe he'll definitely complete those passes this week.
Yeah, and by the way, I have the Dolphins winning this weekend. If they lose on me, I'm off them forever. In a couple of minutes, we have our last word with Lavonte David set to play his 200th game with the Buccaneers. I remind everyone why this man needs to be heading to Canton one day.
Time now for our last word. Evan, take it away, my friend.
Thank you, Chris. I want to talk about the Bucs linebacker Lavonte David. When the Bucs play Monday night, Lavonte will become the third player in franchise history to suit up in 200 games with the organization. The other two, Rondé Barber and Derek Brooks, both Hall of Famers. Since 1994, Lavonte David has the third most seasons with 100-plus tackles at 11. Since 1991, David is just the 8th player to record 40-plus sacks and 30-plus takeaways. 5 of the 7 other names are in the Hall of Fame. He's got the third most tackles right now in the league. Lavonte David has been overlooked throughout his entire career, earning 3 All-Pro honors, 1 Pro Bowl selection. Chris, I just want everyone to know that when his time comes to an end, and we got to talk about it, I want that man in Canton.
Bye.